In this module, we will discuss variables in the Asterisk Dialplan. We'll cover the different types of variables and show the most common methods for setting and manipulating them. We'll talk about variables that are user-defined and those that are predefined by Asterisk. Finally, we'll provide some CLI debugging tips. So what is a variable? Simply put, a variable is a named container that can hold a value. You can think of a variable as a box. Inside the box is the value assigned to it. For example, we have a variable in our Dialplan called trunk, which is assigned the value SIP/provider-23B421AC90. Here you can see extension 1000 is set to dial out to our SIP provider with the lengthy name. Instead, we can have asterisk dial our variable named trunk. The syntax for referencing the value of a variable in asterisk is to surround the variable with curly brackets with a $sign at the front. This gives us the benefit of increased logic and efficiency because we do not need to remember the lengthy name of the provider's SIP account. We only have to remember the variable name associated with it. Another benefit is that if the SIP provider changes, we don't have to seek out and change every reference to it in our Dialplan. We only need to change the variable assignment once, and Asterisk will use the new value of the variable when it's encountered. Variables in the Asterisk Dialplan are divided into two categories, channel variables and global variables. We'll start by taking a closer look at channel variables. Channel variables are variables associated with one specific Asterisk channel instance. Remember that a channel is one leg of a bridged call. Channel variables exist for the lifetime of the channel and then go away when the channel is hung up or destroyed. Channel variables may be assigned values in one of three ways. First, channel variables can be assigned a value using the set application. You can pass variable name equals variable value as an argument to the set application. Here we've chosen the variable name number and set its value to 0. We could have named the variable anything we wanted, but we chose the name number to suggest that this variable might be used to count how many tries a caller takes to navigate an IVR or to describe some other numeric data. It's good practice to name variables based on what information they store. Another method for setting a channel variable uses the read application. The read application allows you to play a sound prompt to the caller, retrieve DTMF input from the caller, and then save that input in a variable. At a basic level, read only needs two arguments. The first is the variable name. The second is the audio file to play to the caller. You can learn about several other arguments read supports by running core show application read on the Asterisk CLI. You'll notice that we use the same variable name for both extensions in this example. This is not a problem in Asterisk because channel variables on one particular channel are completely independent of channel variables on any other channel. In other words, calls can be active to both extensions 1000 and 1001 at the same time, and the values of the number variables will not conflict with each other because each variable is limited to its own channel. Likewise, multiple calls can be made to extension 1001 at the same time, with each user inputting different values and having them tracked separately. When the same number application is invoked, it will say the value that has been set for the variable on its own channel. The final way for a channel variable to be set is for Asterisk to do it automatically. There are a number of predefined channel variables within Asterisk that are automatically set. Among them are context, extend, and priority, which are automatically assigned the respective values of the current channel Dialplan location. Some variables are also assigned automatically by Asterisk as the result of a Dialplan application. Dial status is one such example that is automatically set by the dial application. For a full list of channel variables that are defined or read by Asterisk, see the Asterisk Standard Channel Variables page of the Asterisk Wiki, along with its child pages. A link can be found on the Attachments tab. At this point, there's one important note regarding syntax when referencing a variable. System variables defined by Asterisk are always all in uppercase and cannot be referenced if any of the characters are lowercase. User-defined variables, such as our examples of trunk and number, are not case-sensitive, so you can refer to any of these and still be referring to the same variable. However, it's recommended that you use lowercase or mixed case for your own variables. Avoid using all uppercase so that there's no chance of unintentionally conflicting with the system-reserved variable name. Global variables are variables that don't live on one particular channel. They're available to all calls on the system. Another way of saying this is to say that they have global scope. There are two ways to set a global variable. The first way is to set a global variable in the global section at the top of extensions.conf. The syntax is variable name equals variable value. Global variables often remain unchanged for a long time, so it's most common to declare them in the global section. However, they can also be set by combining the set application and the global function. This might be useful when a given variable has two different values that may alternate, such as defining a primary and secondary trunk. This Dialplan example shows how this might work. When 6000 is dialed, the trunk variable is set to the primary SIP provider. When 6001 is dialed, the trunk is instead set to connect to a secondary provider. This might be an extension that an Asterisk administrator would dial to cause all calls going out the trunk to use the secondary provider instead of the primary provider. Of course, this extension should be in a protected context that not just anyone can access, and there are better ways of handling trunk failover, but the example should demonstrate the value of setting global variables in the Dialplan. Asterisk has a few different ways of letting you manipulate variables in the Dialplan. One of the more common operations involves referencing a portion of the contents of the variable. For example, you might want to remove the first character from the value, or just get the last 4 characters. Asterisk makes this easy using syntax that is common in other programming languages. We'll examine the several substring operations Asterisk allows by looking at a variable called testNumber that contains the value 955512334. It's common when using Asterisk as a PBX to have an internal caller dial 9 and then the external phone number on the PSTN. Asterisk needs to interpret the 9 but not include it in the dial string it sends to the telephone company, so the first digit of the dialed number needs to be removed. This is done by adding a colon and then the number of digits to remove after the variable name inside the curly brackets. If the number after the colon is negative, Asterisk will instead return the specified number of characters from the end of the value. If we wanted the last 4 digits of the variable test number, the Dialplan would look like this. The variable named last4 contains the value 1234. Finally, Asterisk lets you select an arbitrary substring of a variable by specifying 2 numbers separated by colons after the variable name. The first number indicates how many characters to skip, like the last few examples. The second number indicates how many total characters to return. We'll list a few examples using our variable test number. The first 4 characters of the variable are accessible by these arguments. Here, we're skipping 0 characters and keeping the next 4 characters. The substring 555 can be represented with these arguments. Here we skip the first character and then keep the next 3. There are a few methods available to an Asterisk administrator for displaying the value of a variable, which can be very handy when debugging call flow problems. The first method is using a debugging application such as NoOp or Verbose. Both of these were mentioned in the Debugging Applications module of the Applications chapter and can be an enormous help. Here we repeat an earlier example where the read application is used to set a variable named number. Instead of playing back the value of the entered digits, we're instead printing them to the Asterisk console for debugging purposes. Watch the CLI output as this number is dialed. Here, you can see the digits entered. Alternatively, you can use CLI commands to see the current value of Dialplan variables. Dialplan show chanvar, followed by the channel name, will output the channel variables and their values for the specified channel. And Dialplan show globals will output the same information for global variables. These tools are worth remembering because improperly or unexpectedly set variables are a relatively common problem. By now, you should be familiar with the basic usage of variables in the Asterisk Dialplan. You should know what a variable is, the 2 types of variables Asterisk offers, and a few different ways to assign variables in Asterisk. You should also know how to get at the value referenced by a variable, including how to use substrings to get only part of the variable's contents. Finally, you should know what tools are available to you to look up a variable. In the next module, we'll explore the concept of pattern matches, which will add yet another tool to your arsenal of Dialplan tricks.